Hey guys, it's your girl Renee, and if you are new, welcome. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you for tuning on back. As you guys know, I'm officially a registered nurse. Yes, I said it, I'm a registered nurse, and I thank God so much throughout this journey. He has been with me, and now I can tell you guys how I passed the NCLEX in 75 questions on the first try. If you are interested in watching this video, keep on watching. Okay, so what's really important is staying organized. Of course, like I didn't have a game plan. So I went on YouTube, of course, searching like how to pass NCLEX, how to pass NCLEX. I really didn't care about passing the NCLEX in 75 questions or in 145 questions. As long as I passed the NCLEX, that was very important to me. Because the NCLEX is either you pass or you fail. You can literally fail in 75 questions and pass in 145 questions. But I didn't have a game plan. The thing I would say is get yourself organized and have a game plan. I graduated in April of 28 in 2022, and it took me about 2 months to get my ATT. So of course, everyone was getting ready, taking their NCLEX, and I still didn't know what I was gonna do. First came into my school and was telling us, hey, if you guys join our program, we are guaranteed that you can pass your NCLEX on the first try. If you do not pass your NCLEX on the first try, you get your money back. That's technically a win-win. So I was like, sounds interesting. Sign me up. So I did use Hearst. Hearst really helped me, really did help with learning your content. I'm telling y'all, if I had this book in nursing school, your girl wouldn't be struggling. I would not struggle. I literally would not struggle. But I thank God so much because, you have to go through the struggle in order to get where you're at today. So I can't open up this book because I can be copyrighted. And no, this video is not advertised. But Hearst is really good. If you want to know the basics of nursing, definitely, if you're not a nursing student, I would definitely recommend Hearst. Like, that's how basic it is, and it really breaks down the content, like literally dumbs it down. Yeah, so what I did is I got the Hearst and I wrote down these tabs and organized the systems. So I had to organize these tabs by systems. So what I did was I created a calendar. I created a folder, and on a calendar I would write what I would do each day. I also used UWorld because I didn't really like the Hearst questions because the questions were a bit complicated and I just really didn't like them. And I wanted to try UWorld because UWorld had a lot of practice questions, even though it's a bit expensive, but it did have a lot of practice questions. And I also heard that UWorld rationales are very, very good. So I used UWorld because I wanted to get a feel of the rational questions and practicing a lot of questions. Why not? UWorld had like about 2,000 plus questions. And the more you practice, the better you understand. So, let me take this out. So each month I would write down what I was going to do. So here I would write the review system. So I would study fluid and electrolytes. I would practice 4 sets of 40 questions each day. And then that day I would be like, okay, before I go to sleep, I would just, either review Mark K notes or I would study, just listen to the audio. I listened to Mark K notes and I also listened to NCLEX high yield notes. Not notes, but listen to his audio. Dr. Z really put you on game. So what I did was I studied my content in Hearst, which is really good. I practiced questions on UWorld, and I listened to Mark K audio, and I listened to NCLEX high yield audio. But I would split it up each day like I was in school. So I studied for 8 hours each day, Monday through Saturday. Sunday was my rest day. I'm like, okay, I'm not studying at all. So on Monday, I would normally, study the content, and I would practice about 4 sets of 40 questions. And then, depending on how I felt, I would either listen to the audio or not. Some days, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't pitch perfect. Some days I didn't listen to the audio. I would just practice, just study, and then take a break, and then practice questions. And then it was getting like, sometimes I felt a bit discouraged, but I knew that I had my mindset on a specific goal, that I wanted to pass my NCLEX on the first try, and that was it. Because everyone says that the NCLEX is extremely hard. Guys, the NCLEX is hard, but it is doable. By the grace of God, you can do it. You can really do it if you put in the work with your studying and you practice questions, because it's very important to practice questions and know how to answer questions. NCLEX Higher did prepare me with knowing how to answer priority questions, select that all apply questions, and I truly do recommend having NCLEX Higher. The other thing I would do is with the UWorld rationales, I wrote on my tabs, I would have the body systems here. I would have the body system. So if I was studying cardiac that day and the questions I would get right, I still reviewed them. The questions I got wrong, I review and write down what I didn't understand. So I would write down the rationales on here, if you can see that. Highlight what was important, what stood out to me, and then the night before I would go to sleep, I would just review those notes, rationales, and I did that for a lot of the systems that I had trouble with. One thing I can definitely say is break down the systems. When you break down the systems, you're going to know, like, okay, I'm studying this, and then I'm going to practice questions on this system. That's what I did. Some people don't recommend it, but that's what I did in order to keep myself organized and know how, like, what I was studying. Because that's how they kind of did it in school. They broke down the systems, and then, the next time you come in, you learn about the medications regarding to the systems. But I just studied the systems overall, like by breaking them down, practicing questions, and then as I got closer to taking my NCLEX, I practiced just random questions. Don't do me, but I did review my Hearst book twice. I went over it twice, studied it twice. To refresh my brain, I studied for about 2 months. Even though it took me a while to get my ATT, I studied for 2 months. I scheduled my exam on August 18th because that was the latest, because I got my ATT the latest. And as I started getting closer to taking my exam, I just would just practice questions. I was a bit nervous, but I was really, really, really excited. And one thing I did tell God was, God, if you see that I am going to hurt someone, please don't let me pass this exam. But if you see that I'm going to care and provide the best quality care to these patients, please, Lord, help me pass this exam. Because, I don't want to get into a field where I'm not passionate about it and I'm not going to care for these patients. Because there's always other careers. But I had literally had to have that talk with God and tell God, like, this test is very difficult, I hear, but I know that it is doable, that God, you can get me through this, because you got me through nursing school. Now all I have to do is get my license in order to practice. But if you really see that I'm not going to care to take care of my patients, please don't let me pass the exam. And I sincerely said that with my entire heart. Don't study 2 days before your exam, because you're going to feel overwhelmed. Even though I did study the day before my exam and the morning of my exam, just, reviewing, but I don't recommend it. Just try to relax. And prepare yourself. The thing is, if you put in the work, the results would show. Like I always say, put in the work and let God handle the rest, because he didn't get you this far to leave you now in order to not pass this exam so you can start your practice. What I really do love about like UWorld is that when I went to go take my exam, the whole background looked like I was taking UWorld. I was just practicing UWorld questions. I literally felt like I was home just practicing questions, literally. So as I was practicing my questions, as I was taking the test, see, I felt like I was really practicing questions, but as I was taking my test, I, kept going. I had a lot of select all that apply questions. And normally they say, like, when you have a lot of select all that apply questions, that's really good. It's beneficial. That means that you're doing good. But me, I'm like, every time I get a select all that apply question, I'm like, oh, goodness gracious. Like, I don't want all that select all that apply questions. But let me tell you guys, UWorld prepared me. It literally did. Listening to NCLEX High Yield podcast and then combining it with the UWorld Select All That Apply, practicing those, I got those questions like it was easy. Though I didn't want them on my test, but I got them. On the 73rd question, I was like, okay, let me go take a break. So I took a break, went to the bathroom, and I was just saying like, oh God, like, I leave this exam in your hand. Because honestly, guys, the exam felt like I knew my stuff. Like, I really knew my stuff, but then at the same time, it's like, NCLEX can trick you and can really play with you. So I prayed. I just went in the bathroom, prayed, and asked God, like, God, please just help me through this. I trust you, and I know that, you didn't get me this far for no reason. Went back in, sat down for the 74th question, which was a select all to apply. And then I got to the 75th question, and I'm like, God, please don't let it stop at 75. Please don't let it stop at 75. Question 75 was another select all to apply question. And I'm like, oh, goodness gracious, another select all to apply question. Okay, that means I think I'm probably doing good. So I'm like, okay, God, please let it go to 76 so I can have more questions. Maybe I'm not doing good or whatever. I felt like I was doing good, but at the same time, the inner you tends to think like, oh, you're probably not doing good. But I didn't want to be negative. One thing I say is be very positive when you're taking your exam. Just try to relax. So I took the 75th question and I pressed the next tab, and it went down. I'm like, my heart dropped. I was like, what just happened? Like, what just happened? And I had those the NCLEX, the new NCLEX style questions. Oh my goodness. I thank God I took my NCLEX, but I have the new NCLEX style questions. But I thank God so much. I stopped at 75 questions and I was out. And it didn't even feel like I was in there for that long, literally. But one thing I can say is prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Practice questions. And overall, make sure that you know your content. If you don't know your content, you're not going to do good. Know your content and practice those questions. You got this. You got this. Just put in the work and let God handle the rest. And you're going to be a registered nurse. You're going to be that registered nurse. You are going to be a registered nurse. You have to believe it and receive it in Jesus' mighty name that you will become a registered nurse. I thank God so much, because who knew, 75 questions and out. Because it was it's like a trend, 75 questions and out, 75 questions and out. Me, I didn't want 75 questions and out. I wanted to make sure I had a decent amount of questions. I really felt like I wanted to stop at 80 questions, but everything happens in God's plan. And I just thank him so much, because now I'm done with that and go on to the next journey in my life. You will become the registered nurse that God intended you to be. Whew. Now that we got that all over with, go and study and put in the work. Go study. You're done watching this video. Now go study and put in the work. I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.